And welcome back to Who Would Win. And today's Who Would Win comes to us from Puppy Butt. Comes to us from Alan Perkins, who asked the question, who would win a fight? Spawn, who does wear a symbiotic suit, or Knull, the symbiote god, the guy who basically created symbiotes. Now, Spawn, I've done a few times on the show. Spawn, or Al Simmons, was a mercenary who was betrayed, went to hell, made a deal to come back, but he's a Hellspawn now. As such, he is physically quite powerful, weighing over 150 pounds, composed completely of necroplasm, superior in strength, speed, and durability. While he still has internal organs, they only are semi-functional. However, their damage or destruction does not hinder him at all. The organs magically reappear when he regenerates his wounds. This may be due to his inability to let go of his humanity. He's received decades of military training, meaning he's has mastered 13 forms of martial arts, including judo, jiu-jitsu, karate, kung fu, jeet kune do, aikido, taekwondo, boxing, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, hapkido, muay thai, ninjutsu, and American karate. He also briefly studied, taekwondo, and is also highly adept in swordsmanship and marksmanship, mostly due to his years in the military. He speaks plenty of languages that wouldn't matter. He wears a living symbiotic costume, Leaneth of the Seventh House of K, known as K7 Leaneth. While wearing it, the host assumes a dominant role over his suit. His shrouds, spikes, chains, and skulls are all part of the organism's body, bonded to a central nervous system that will protect Spawn even if he's unconscious. True source of his power is necroplasm in his body, which from it feeds. It's possible for Spawn to draw his energy from back when he needs it from negative sources or abilities from draining his own. Basically, he's got a limited amount of necroplasm as he's composed of it. However, he can basically feed off negative energy, evil energy, and continue to keep fighting. He's able to. The suit can become things like connection from his like shapeshift into spikes, axes, armor plating, transform into shrouds. Basically, offensive and defensive. He has vast magical powers that he can. Basically do just about anything. Necroplasmic energy, teleportation, flame breathing, transmutation, manipulation of the elements, shapeshifting, flight, talking to animals, reading minds, invisibility, portal creation, time manipulation, soul manipulation, reality warping, regeneration, feeding off the evil sins and negative energies of others to augment his strength and increase his necroplasm counter or his ability to use magic, and cure the sick. Spawn is practically immortal unless beheaded by a weapon of heaven or by magic. He's also rendered powerless and therefore mortal in a patch of alley known as the Dead Zone, small patch that's in Heaven's domain and in the ethereal realm of the Green's world. Following the Armageddon storyline, his power levels have decreased, driving most of his power he has left from his symbiotic suit. Simmons is a highly trained soldier. He has the ability to feel or sense or be cognizant of misery, pain, and hatred as both a gift and a punishment given by the Keeper, an agent of the Emerald Parliament of Green's world. He is aware, even subconsciously, when someone is attacked or murdered because he has gained a further affinity with creatures of the night. Spawn contained an unknown quantity of lost souls who can share his Hellspawn abilities, collectively known as the Legion. That I don't think would honestly matter in this case. Legion is shown to be a symbiotic with him. Now, at one point, he did not only overthrow Satan, but he overthrew God as well. So that happened. But the question is, honestly, the thing is, there's God and Satan, and then there's the mother of creation, who has basically created everything. So they're above him. But anyway, Knull is a primordial god who existed before our current universe and time really existed. He was content just floating through the cosmos by himself. But then, the Celestials started their creation, and then he said, no, I'm going to make a sword out of my shadow and cut off a head of a Celestial. A Celestial, by the by, is a god. Now, it's not the god of the Marvel Universe, let's be clear. Individuals like the one above all, who is the definitive god, the Living Tribunal, they outrank Celestials. There's a couple characters that would outrank Celestials. And quite frankly, Knull is one of those individuals because he went on a killing spree and killed Celestials. Like, seriously, one second here. His history. He was content drifting in there. He decapitated, slayed a Celestial. I believe he killed several Celestials and created an artificial planet from the living abyss to serve as his throne world. Yeah, this guy is no joke. He actually apparently had a run-in with Galactus. Oh no! At some point during the stage of Knull's war against the Light, he encountered a time-displaced Silver Surfer when the former herald of Galactus freed the world. After a brief but intense fight, Knull defeated the Silver Surfer and bonded to him with a symbiote to enslave him. However, the Silver Surfer was freed by Ego Living Planet. It takes this guy can basically bitch slap the Silver Surfer around, and it took Ego to free the freaking Silver Surfer. Now he eventually got imprisoned in his own planet by the symbiotes, but after that was destroyed, um, uh, and he was released. So let's be very clear: is he still dead? I know he actually was killed. A few months after the battle on Earth, an Earth-based council decided to worship Knull, led by Scorn, obtained a sample of the Grendel symbiote and Cletus Cassidy's body. Knull physically communicated, so psychically communicated. So he was dead, but he still lived on. So let's be clear right now. He has divine physiology, being a primordial god. He can still die, but he's more or less immortal in terms of like aging. Excuse me, amorality has existed for 13.7 billion years, having come into existence prior to the beginning of the universe itself, before the genesis of such concepts of life and death, and as such is unable to truly be killed. However, he can be injured to the point of incapacitation after being impaled through the head, falling from space to the surface of the planet. He's essentially, you can't kill him, but you can basically kind of dark side him, where you kill his body and he's basically useless. Just a floating spirit. Supreme Umbra Kinesis. Ability to control and manipulate font of eldritch darkness and manifest primordial void. A manifestation of the primordial void that existed before the universe. He created symbiotes, and he has dominion over symbiote. Like he has mental influence and dominates symbiotes even while sealed away, driving them insane and bloodlust and hungry. He's capable of indwelling them, enabling them to see through his eyes and directly control him. Now, I'm going to bring this up right before we get to the fight. I do not think he could manipulate Lilith of the Seventh House. And the reason for that is she's not a symbiote in the same nature the other symbiotes are. The symbiotes he can control are all from the same race that he fathered. But Lilith is from hell. So it's a different dimension, different creation, different type of thing. So I think she's perfectly fine against him for that. Superhuman durability. He's durable enough to survive being blasted by celestials and was unharmed after a plunge from space through the atmosphere of a planet and while engaged in combat with another deity, though he was left unconscious after being stabbed through the head. While Surface Power Cosmic was able to make him bleed and being blasted by Ego's psionic beam caused him pain, he was not severely injured by either. These are two individuals who are, in terms of the Marvel Universe, you got the God tier, and like you got take God himself out of the equation, but you got the God tier, which is generally speaking, like the one above, like the Living Tribunal, most of the Celestials, and the and most of the Celestials and the physical or the manifestations, if you will, like Eternity, Infinity, so forth and so on. And then you got the next level, which are kind of like Herald level or sub-God level, like the All-Father, Thanos, all those characters. Silver Surfer is somewhere there or maybe the next tier, which is still an uber powerful tier to be in. And these guys, and same with Ego, and these guys barely did anything to him. Dark energy manipulation, capable of conjuring fiery purple energy, wreathing himself in all black and aura. All black being his actual symbiote, mind you. Symbiote, which is basically has all the same abilities a normal symbiote does, plus advanced symbiotes, advanced abilities because he's the first symbiote. Although it still has a primordial fear of sound and fire. Being thrown to the sword didn't kill it or even hurt it. Now that being said, he also is amortal, like I said. Has self-sustenance, doesn't need to eat, sleep, drink, or whatever. Shape-shifting, capable of transferring his mouth into a fanged maw and prehensile serpentine tongue. Regenerative healing factor, despite his immense durability, he's capable of being injured to the point of incapacitation. However, he's not able to only survive injuries that would kill other guys, but rapidly recover. He's an expert combatant, despite not having formal training. He's a vicious warrior with billions of years worth of combat experience, which basically trumps what Spawn has, though he has actually mastered legitimate martial arts. His only real weakness is the light. Despite his immense durability, he is particularly vulnerable to a force that he refers to as the light, which came into being around the Big Bang and was the first spread across the abyss by celestials. The light refers not only to the literal light of stars and other celestial objects, but the various powers wielded by cosmic entities and deities. When used offensively, he could cause him pain, even make him bleed. Concepts such as honor, benevolence, compassion, nobility, which disrupt his control of the symbiotes and cause them to turn on him in life itself. Knull sought to destroy and corrupt the light using an army of symbiotes, but his control over them was severed when the symbiote dragon he was indwelling was blasted by Thor's divine lightning. Centuries later, his avatar temporarily disabled or destabilized by a totem armor of Miles Morales' bioelectric venom blast and by a sonic grenade. The symbiote dragon. Yeah, that was a thing, by the way. There was a symbiote dragon. Holy crap. Grendel, as it's known as. One of a fleet of dragon-state symbiotes conglomerates under the control of Knull. Basically, it's a combination of symbiotes into one. And bonded with Cleus Cassidy and the thrall of Jesus Christ. Wow. Grendel is a horrifying individual. Like most corrupt entities, he's a bloodthirsty predator responsible for destruction of entire civilizations. Jesus. Apparently, though, he's actually extremely weak to electricity. Fascinating. So, a god versus a hellspawn who took out God and Satan. If these two met, first off, Spawn would be immediately drawn to Knull. Because he's drawn to, and you want to talk about evil. Knull is pretty much pure, unconcentrated evil. So he'd be drawn to him, and they'd have a moment of conversations. Like, I don't know who you are, but you are dangerous, and I cannot let you live, and I cannot let you apart from me. Oh, it's like, oh my dear friend, I don't know what Knull would sound like. There's no way, an animated voice from. Though if they did an animated movie of that, or hell, oh God. Could you? Well, I doubt they'd go that route. But can you imagine Knull appearing in, say, the Spider-Man Sony version or something like that? Like later, like Venom 3 or 4 or something like that. We wouldn't get him Venom 2. 3 might be pushing it. 4 though, that's if assuming you ever got to that point. Knull's like one of those characters too powerful to actually put in the movies. But what I imagine he sounds like is something a bit more like unlike Al Simmons, who's very deep voice like this, and you think, but he's also got a bit of gruff to him. I imagine Knull's a bit more. It's still deep. He's not like high pitched or anything but he's more. Oh, but you see, oh my dear symbiote brother, don't you see? This is the way it's supposed to be. The light. It hurts us all. The divinity. I know you see. I can sense you've seen it. Why do we have to fight? Why can't we just bond? And then, he tries to absorb the Lenith, or control Lenith, but it quickly realizes the Spawn's changes come in, just wipe away. Why can't I control you? And he's trying to manipulate Lenith. Again, Lenith is a symbiote, but not in the same context as the Marvel symbiotes. It's not something a symbiote he created, so he can't immediately control Lenith. Or really at all, I imagine. So, messing with my hair. I had to comb my hair because it was just a mess. So he's like a fight. Very well then. And then it's all back there. I was like, it's been a while since I've had a good fight. I'll get some exercise before I destroy this world. And then they duke it out for a while. Now, in terms of actual legitimate combat ability, like martial ability, like hand-to-hand stuff, I actually think Al's the better fighter. So because he's just legitimately mastered legitimate forms of fighting. But a 13.7 year old 13.7 billion year old warrior who's been on the battlefield that long, or for billions of years, yeah, he kind of trumps Al in experience a bit. So, Al is definitely able to counteract some of the hits, but he's just a savage. He knows how to basically counteract some of these locks and stuff he gets maybe put into. So, he just grabs spots like, this is not a dad's boy. So you are quite powerful, though. I'll give you that, Hellspawn. He's like, what? He's like, you think I couldn't figure out what you were? Come now. There's a lot you don't know, boy. Now, fortunately, this is a scenario where Spawn will not run out of energy at all, because Knull he can just suck that shit right up. So, Knull brings out All Black as a sword, and Al makes some swords and spike, and they go toe to toe. Unfortunately, Hellspawn, Spawn is still on the back foot here. She's just power-wise, Knull has killed gods for fun. He's beaten characters, quite frankly, stronger than Spawn. Because the requirements of beating God is very tricky, because you don't actually beat him in a legitimate fight or anything like that. You just there's the whole divinity thing of especially in the Christian faith, and when you see it depicted in like comic books, you don't really beat them in a straight out fight or physical altercation. You beat them through technical means, like get them in a weaker form and then kill them all that. No, he's fighting a guy who's killed deities just because he hated them. Not because, it was the struggle. He just decapitated God, the celestial. Like, no. So he's on the back of, but he's not without ability. Like, he can warp reality. He has time manipulation, soul manipulation. He can create fire, which when he does that, immediately causes his suit to react like, ah! And that causes Spawn to be like, got you. And then, he starts to just warp him a little bit, just trying to like contort space, kind of, and then he brings out his dark energy manipulation, not Hellfire, this is something that Spawn's never encountered, because this is something that existed prior to the universe ever being created. So the Spawn just, and he's got a big wound on him, but he's quickly regenerating thanks to Knull, and Knull's quickly regenerating. He's like, I have to watch out for that. And the fight continues on. These guys go back and forth, ripping into each other, using every trick they have in their arsenal. Ultimately, though, the problem becomes that Spawn can die again. Spawn can lose his soul and be done. Knull ultimately can be stopped, but he can't be killed. And he's just dealt with more overall, when you consider what he's gone up against, how much he's gone up against, how much of who he's gone up against and how many times he's gone up against those kind of individuals. Like, I'd be wondering how powerful he is against someone like the Living Tribunal. I actually really would be interested. Or like Attorney or something like that. Because as far as we know, he existed before these guys even were created. Or at least before Eternity and those guys were created. Maybe the Living Tribunal was around prior to that. I can't be certain on that. Let me check that real quick. But the point being, the Living Tribunal. Living Tribunal. All right. So the Living Tribunal is, let's see, how old is he? Because he's multiversal. That's the thing. And I think that is very much key there. It's a vastly powerful humanoid cosmic entity who exists in law. As long as the universe itself, the function is to safeguard the multiverse, the total sum of all universes, from imbalance and mystical forces. Now, that implies that he has existed at least as long as the universe has been around, but because he's multiversal, I think he's probably been around longer than the universe itself. At least the one like everyone lives in. So he was created by the one of all, the watch of the multiverse. So I had to be, ever since like the first universe was created, he's been around, but that's not to say every universe was created at the same time. We just don't know that. So something like the Living, I'd be interested to see how Knull fares against those guys. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, Knull can just outlast. I mean, Spawn can outlast him because he can absorb all the hatred and evil coming off him. But he can only do that for so long. Like, there's only so much damage you can take before, he's going to take his... Because that's one of his things. He took a Celestial's head off. So I imagine he tried to go for the head. And if he does that, it's a magic god-killing sword. Like, this, one of the things that it's known for is killing gods. And Spawn's not a god. Then, yeah, ultimately, here's the thing. I'm going to lean towards Knull. But it's still a close... Like, I'm going to go 60-40 on this. Like, Spawn has enough abilities that he could pull out a win, but it would take him pulling out all the stops to get a win. Otherwise, he'd be screwed long term in a fight against Knull. But it would be an epic show. This is one of those ones I'd love to see animated, and have someone better than me really do the research in on it, because that would be just a badass fight to watch. If nothing else, like, just see like a 3-minute animation of that and say like an anime style. That would just be sick. That'd be like Castlevania Alucard level kind of fighting right there. Hellsing fighting right there. So yeah, ultimately though, I'm going with Knull, the god of the symbiotes. But again, 60-40. Spawn has honestly a really solid shot of winning this in the right field. But let me know what you think. You think it's Spawn or you think it's Knull? Now remember, he did beat God and Satan, but quite frankly, I'll be honest, God and Satan, at least in those universes, Knull will kick their ass also. So, yeah. Anyway, I digress. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, who wants to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. And I just who would win, Star Wars, Superhero, Magic, What If, anything you do on the channel, put that in the comments below as well. I'll get to that at some point. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you tomorrow. Later.